and Mahomes at bay.
The Tampa Bay Bucs, Super Bowl 55.
Hello and welcome to the Bucs Banter Podcast. I am your host, Collin as always, and I am happy to be back with you, our listeners and viewers, to discuss yesterday's release of the 2021 NFL schedule. But first, a couple of items to address. If you're on Twitter, make sure you shoot us a follow at Bucs Banter. I love to engage with our audience on Twitter. In terms of our listeners specifically, you can now find Bucs Banter Podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. If you prefer the visual element, however, then head over to our YouTube channel. Just search Bucs Banter. Don't forget to subscribe and throw us a like, only if you actually like the videos, of course. I'm not out here asking for pity likes or anything. And don't forget to check out bucsbanter.ca, not .com, bucsbanter.ca. where we've got a couple new articles up this week, both of which are identifying my 2021 NFL Draft MVPs. How do you have an MVP in the draft? Well, that stands for Most Valuable Picks. I split the entire draft into two halves just to make it a little less daunting of a read than it would have been as one article. So go check that out. And if you got beef with any of my takes over there, or if you agree, don't be shy. Let me know in the comments at the bottom of the article. Lastly, before we get started, Bucs Banter is proud to announce that we are officially partnering with Bucs Report. Those guys do great work over there. Make sure to check out bucsreport.com for constant Buccaneers content and follow them on Twitter at Bucs_report. We are excited to be involved with those guys moving forward. You may be wondering, how is Bucs Banter partnering with Bucs Report? What does that even mean? Well, starting next week, we are going to be hosting a Bucs Banter show every Monday night at 7 p.m., and it'll be streaming live on all of Bucs Report social media channels, and that starts next Monday, April 17th. So make sure you tune in on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever, to Bucs Report pages, and we'll be interacting with tons of fans over there, doing our normal podcast. It will be available through our Bucs Banter podcast network as well. Now, today, to discuss the schedule release, I am joined by two regulars on the pod. They are both approaching co-host status, and they will be joining me probably every Monday for our Bucs Report show. I would bet on that. We have the illustrious Bohdan Yard and the always entertaining Scott Capron. Now, let me be clear. You're both illustrious boys, and you're both entertaining, but I had to differentiate between you two in some way. So I hope you're not offended.
Hey,
no, I think that it's about time I got some sauce on that intro. I appreciate that.
No, and like approaching co-host, I feel like that we can almost put that in our LinkedIn kind of status here, bro. I don't know, but like that seems like first line type shit. So thank you, Boom. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to have you boys here. And since I wasted a good 45 seconds on that intro, let's not waste any more time. Just to give everyone a rundown of what we're going to be talking about specifically, we're going to focus on the Bucs schedule off the top. Then we are going to roll into some fun segments we have that we've broken down in terms of which games we want to discuss that are on the schedule. Because, of course, yesterday, actually, earlier in the day, the entire NFL schedule was released. And the first game of the NFL season will feature the current and defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home, returning to Raymond James Stadium, where they became the first team ever to win a Super Bowl at home. They will be facing the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday, September 9th. What do you boys think of that game one? How you feeling?
I'm so excited we have some games to talk about finally. And I like that's gonna be a really fun Thursday nighter, man. Like Dak Prescott coming back off of injury. See if they can actually keep him upright, and I just want to see what happens with the Cowboys this year for sure.
Oh, I absolutely love the matchup. Like to kick off the season, I mean, I know we usually have the defending Super Bowl champ in that Thursday nighter as a spotlight game, but Dallas, America's team, all this, blah blah blah. Yeah, they're kind of annoying, but they're going to be good and they're entertaining at the very least. Basically, no matter what type of roster they put out there, right? People care. So Tampa, Dallas to start the season, I will be taking the Friday off work, and I cannot wait. So there we go.
But the game's on Thursday, Scott. What does Friday matter, man?
Oh, I just unrelated actually. Just really need to stretch. I think just I need a me day. I'm just foreseeing that. So
Right.
yes,
It's very emotional.
Gotcha.
After
always is. It's really like a holiday. So
football's back.
yeah, vacation from the vacation.
What do you think? What are you excited? Like what you're getting with those 22 starters coming back, right?
Yeah,
what do you got?
I mean, I'm hoping to see Brady shred that Dallas D. I mean, they were smart this draft. They used 9 of their 11 overall picks on the defensive side of the ball, and they didn't touch an offensive player till round 4. They took a receiver and an offensive tackle in rounds 4 and 5. Other than that, they went all defense. Obviously, kicked it off with Micah Parsons, the stud linebacker out of Penn State. I'm looking forward to hanging those banners. That's going to be sweet. And most of all, though, I'm looking forward to the Tampa fans, the Tampa community going to be in the stands. And it's pretty tragic that Bucs fans had to weren't able, aside from the first responders and frontline workers who got to be in attendance, those who were vaccinated back in February. But I'm excited for the fans, man, to be able to celebrate this. It's unfortunate, but I'm sure they wouldn't trade in the Super Bowl title to have been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure.
There's a perfect state to open it up too, right? Like Florida's very open right now. They're ready to go. So yeah, I'm excited to see the fan reaction as well too.
Yeah, and putting some cynicism aside, by that point, hopefully we'll have more vaccinated people, and it'll be less of a jarring sight to see people at the game and everything. And hey, safety first, obviously, but obviously Bucs fans would have taken a Super Bowl, even if it meant not being able, like a Super Bowl win, even if it meant not being able to come out in droves to their home stadium to actually see it happen. So hopefully this Thursday night opener will be the celebration that they deserved for winning, that they didn't fully get back in February. So
yeah, and I really hope it sets the tone for the year. Like, I hope Tampa just comes out on a mission, you know what I mean? Because anyone who watched that team over the course of last season, I know Bo watched pretty well every game. They didn't hit their stride till after the bye week. They won 8 games, including the playoffs, to finish the year. So and anyone who knows the team knows, like, last year was meant to be kind of a write-off with how the offseason went, the lack of timing and preparation, Tom Brady learning his first new offense in 20 years. So they had a lot of things working against them, even more so, I would say, than most teams, just with the quarterback situation and the new guys on the roster. So for them to have hit, like, I'm expecting this team to be a lot better this year, straight up.
Yeah.
Well, I think so too. I mean, the only issue would be kind of the non-football related complacency thing, right? Because it's hard to win back-to-back Super Bowls, right? Like, they could be better this year and not win. That just might be how it goes. But like you said, they just got hot at the end of last year, obviously, which is so incredible for a football team over 2 months with 53 guys to get hot. Like, there are so many moving pieces, and they did it, right? They just beat the shit out of everyone, right? And I'm super, super interested in this title defense, and and from the Chiefs' perspective, who will say I'm assuming we would all agree is on the same tier as Tampa, even though Tampa dismantled them in the Super Bowl. Interested to see how much fire they come out with, right? Like, I'm so interested to watch the first 4 or 5 weeks for both of those teams and see how what happened last year kind of affects the start of this year.
Yeah, totally. And like, the Chiefs improved their team where they needed to improve their team in the draft too. They stocked up on O-linemen and in free agency. So, they did what they had to do. That and they're motivated. So in terms of the Buccaneers schedule specifically, I mean, they got 5 primetime games this year, which is the maximum. And last year they had 5. Last year they had 5 too, the Tom Brady effect. So that's exciting to see them in prime time again. And they're going to be, like, other games are going to be, not prime time, but they're going to be prime matchups. on the major networks. So they'll get the good broadcast crew and all that. So for Bucs fans, I mean, that's just so nice to see after years of getting the bottom of the barrel in terms of coverage. So I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, boom. Like just I'm looking here at the Sunday 4:25 Fox games, and they have like that late window, which isn't a prime time, but it's kind of like prime time light, and they have at least 4 or 5 of those as well, right? Like they're the marquee team. Like they have the biggest name in the sport, and they're the defending champs. Like they are going to be discussed a ton. They're going to be under the spotlight a ton, and the schedule proved that, right? So
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Bo.
Oh, I was just going to talk about like just looking at their schedule. It is wild, and like we're talking about the fans being back. Week 4 in New England.
Yeah.
You talk about a Tom Brady effect. I think everybody's probably seen the reports already today. 13,000 for the highest ticket right now. I'm looking on the ESPN's website right now. And tickets are as low as $11.93, so $1,200 to be in the nosebleeds on that night. Yeah, that's going to be an unbelievable. Like, talk about a hostile. Or I wonder if it's going to be hostile, right? Like, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on this, but Tom Brady coming back to New England. Shout out to my guy Boston Craig. I wonder what's going to happen when we get there and how those fans are going to react to seeing them. I'm assuming it's going to be all love, but it's Boston. They're Boston fans. You know what I mean? So let's see.
I think it's all love until the game starts.
Yeah.
And it's just he's a guy on the other team, and they're going to be telling him to get out of that pack and all that. And like, that's I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. I think Brady would expect it too, and I think he'd welcome it.
Yeah,
he'll play better. He'll play better.
They didn't play last year, right? I'm not remembering that.
No,
wrong. They didn't play. Yeah, okay.
No, this is the first time, and Brady's still doing favors for Bobby Kraft because he's getting him those ticket prices for coming back. So
no doubt. Do you think there's a Belichick embrace there? Oh, obviously at the end of the game. Do you think they?
Great question.
Piece it up.
You know,
I think Belichick's gonna call him Tim as a power move. Tim Bundy or something.
Well, it's interesting. Brady is so hard to read in terms of his farewells post game, right? Like sometimes he's just pissed off and he'll just leave the other quarterback there, even if it's a guy he likes. And then other times he'll be very warm and have an embrace. So I think if the Bucs win, you'll see that warmer, happier Tom Brady, and I think Belichick will swallow his pride. However, if the Bucs were to somehow lose, I could see Tom just peacing out real quick.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy.
Yeah, I don't expect that to happen, though. So I guess what I'm saying is I expect a warm embrace after a pretty triumphant performance by Tom Brady and the rest of the Buccaneers. There's some fun games on the schedule early in the year. I mean, you got Dallas week 1 on Thursday night. And the cool thing about the Thursday nighter to start the year is the Bucs aren't going to face the normal rigors that a team does playing on Thursday night with the quick turnaround because it's the first game of the year. So that's sweet.
That's a great little quirk.
Yeah. But a lot of people have said that. With that being said, they play Thursday night football on Fox week 6 against Philly. So it kind of.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not going to get everything, but if one of your short turnaround weeks is week 1, then that's a bonus for sure. So. And
I'd rather the short turnaround be against Philly anyway. It could have been a lot worse. Week 3. So we go. I'll just run us through the schedule here. We got Dallas. We got Dallas at home, Atlanta at home. Then we're on the road to SoFi Stadium to play the Rams in week 3, which I think will be a doozy.
It's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit offline. I think we're all on the same page in terms of respecting what the Rams are going to do this year, having upgraded the most important position in the sport significantly. I've written about it. I know you both feel that way. Scotty, I know you got some thoughts about Matt Stafford. So feel free. Now might be a good opportunity to jump in here.
Well, no, I'm just super excited to watch him on a real team, not completely running for his life with a real coach, and not doing everything in his soul to get the Lions to 8-8. You know what I mean? Like that's what he's been doing for the last 10 or wow, 12 years. Holy shit. Was he drafted in 2009? Oh,
Yeah.
that's sickening. Anyway, yeah, I just can't wait to watch him on a new team. Like I'm a big advocate of getting out of a situation where it's stagnant and nobody's going anywhere. It was time for them to part ways, right? And to see him go to a team like the Rams, I really can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens with that team. Obviously, I know we're talking about the Bucs, but that game right there is fantastic. Quick aside, I actually wonder who will be favored in that spot. I mean, it depends on what happens those first 3 weeks, but obviously can see the Rams favored there.
Yeah, at home too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got, it might take them a little bit, right? They're in that same position with the new quarterback coming in that the Bucs were last year. So you got to give them a little bit of a grace period. Lucky for them, they have 2 weeks to kind of sort that out before they got to play the defending champs. Sure. I think Stafford, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm like a huge Stafford fan. I think like you said, he just grinded it out and worked his ass off despite just pathetic management of the franchise, which is really the total MO of the Detroit Lions, and everyone knows that.
And sort of, Collin, sorry to interject here, but thank God he's not playing for that coach in Detroit now. Like the Dan Campbell talking about breaking people's kneecaps or whatever. Get him to someone who can speak in full sentences like McVay. Now, granted, McVay might still be congratulating Belichick for how badly he beat the shit out of him in the Super Bowl. But regardless, I still think it's a huge upgrade, obviously, for Stafford. So
it's a massive upgrade. Yeah. Just looking at the coaches Stafford's had, Matt Patricia, Jim Caldwell, and Jim Schwartz. And now you get Sean McVay. Now you get a real offensive line. You get a real offensive skill players and Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Tutu Atwell, our guy in the draft as well too. As a pseudo Rams fan, I'm excited to see what Stafford could do for sure.
And McVay didn't let Goff throw the ball more than 8 yards down the field. Imagine what they could do with a guy
open it up.
Oh fuck! Sorry, we're off track already. I just can't wait to watch that team. My number one team to watch, the Rams.
That's fine. I mean, I share those same thoughts, and I think it's the same way it's exciting to watch Stafford with an offensive-minded head coach and some real talent around him. It's also going to be interesting to watch McVay with Stafford because no excuses for him, and we'll see how much of an offensive genius he is. I expect it to click extremely well, and I expect all of a sudden people are going to remember that Matt Stafford belongs in the same category as Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes as the guys with that special arm talent, because he's never talked about it. It's only Mahomes and Rodgers. He is the only guy 12 years in with that same arm talent. He has an unbelievable elastic band of a shoulder, and dude can absolutely sling it. He's smart. He's tough as shit. Yeah. I'm pumped. I like Stafford a lot. So we all do.
And like you guys both, there's obvious, not comparing him to Brady, but there are certain parallels with the guy who's been somewhere forever coming to a totally new, fresh location with a new offensive-minded coach and just seeing how it all works out, right? So, there are some Bucs tie-ins too.
Yeah, there's a ton of pressure on the Rams this year too. They gave up a lot of draft capital, spent a lot of money in free agency to put this team together. So this is kind of the year for them. Kind of like last year for what we planned for the Bucs, the Rams were just saying, well, okay, we got to let this gel, and hopefully we can get some wins, and hopefully we can get special in the playoff, have something special happen in the playoffs. But this is the big year for them. They're all in on Stafford and on that roster right now, and they got to make something happen for sure. But we got to get back to the Bucs because there's a lot here.
Yeah, we'll keep working through the schedule. So week 1, Dallas. Week 2, Atlanta. Going to be fun to get a quick look at Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Week 3, the Rams. Just talked about them. We've already talked about the week 4 matchup with New England. Everyone will be talking about that. Can't fucking wait. And then, like you're saying, Scott, just seeing new guys in new situations. Week 5, we play the Miami Dolphins. I'm looking forward to seeing some of these new rookies, right? We play the Dolphins week 5 at home at Ray J. And then week 6, we go to Philadelphia for a primetime game on Thursday. So there are lots of fun rookies, right? You're going to see Waddle week 5, and then the week after that, you're going to see Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Then we go to,
you could see Fields.
well, yeah, I was about to say next matchup is Chicago.
Yeah.
And by that point, I would have a strong inkling we may see Fields. So, and not to mention Chicago, they're coming to Tampa this year. Last year it was in Chicago, but they beat the Bucs in a close game last year, which people forget, and it was infuriating.
The Bucs might have had 15 penalties in that. Like, I don't know how many drive stoppers they had. What was it, like 22-19, something like that, right? Like I feel like
it was a close game, and the Bucs didn't. It was 2019 was the final.
Oh, okay, there you go. So Tampa
for Chicago.
Tampa outgained them like crazy, but they kept getting penalties on after getting a first down or like pushing it back into 1st and 20, knocking them into field goal range. Like Brady looked like he was going to kill someone on the sideline. Like it was one of those, and I feel like that was a real litmus test game because I remember watching the whole thing like Thursday nighter and being like, man, if you can't finish off drives because every time it's 1st and 20, it's going to be tough to win, and they obviously cleaned that up, right? So
yeah, exactly. So after Chicago, they travel to the Bayou. They're going to play the New Orleans Saints. Always going to be fun. We'll see who's starting for the Saints at that point. A lot of people are kind of assuming Jameis is going to be the starter there. I think just based on the investment and how Sean Payton handled things last year when Drew Brees went down, I think Taysom Hill has at least a 50% chance to be the starter. But I do think Jameis would do the best job of playing quarterback for a Sean Payton offense. So that one's hard to predict. I expect by week 8, like Jameis will have I'll say this. I expect by week 8, the Saints will have changed their starting quarterback, whether it's from Jameis to Taysom Hill or the other way around. Week 9 is the bye week. So that's great. Like smack dab in the middle of the year. I love that. Obviously there's an extra game this season, which is going to be weird when we talk about like team totals at the end of the year. Cause those numbers,
it's already screwing me up, man. It's already
and then week 10, the Bucs coming off the bye will travel to Washington for a wild card rematch. Washington's an interesting team. They've built a pretty good core there. They're just clearly lacking the quarterback though, and they didn't seem very eager or feel any pressure anyway to address that throughout the offseason so far anyhow. So I mean, unless I expect that to be a pretty easy win.
They picked up Fitz, right?
Sorry, yeah, Fitzpatrick. Yeah, Fitzmagic.
Yeah. So I actually I kind of have that earmarked, like what you're going to go through right now is kind of like this is the tough stretch of this schedule for you guys.
Really, yeah, that's interesting. I think coming off the bye, playing Washington is a great situation for us. I think that's one of the and then you got the Giants on Monday Night Football in week 11. So I'm not too worried about that one, to be honest with you. I think the start week 3 and 4 Rams, then at New England is a bit more of a test. I mean, who cares? We got to look at it as a whole.
Yeah, totally.
And then we try. I guess then you're on the road though. Like in terms of you going to Indy week 12, Atlanta week 13, and then you come back to Buffalo week 14, week 15 New Orleans. So that's probably what you're talking about.
Yeah. When I looked at it, I'm looking at like, okay, Washington. That's a pretty tough defense. I'm hoping that they're going to pick up where they left off. The Giants, interesting team in terms of like the offense and what we're going to be seeing from Saquon coming back and all of the receiving threats they've added around Daniel Jones. Then the Colts, obviously you got Carson Wentz on one side of the ball, really tough defense as well too.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess I'm just kind of overlooking them because of the lack of consistent quarterback play with Washington going to have Fitz, and then New York Giants are going to have Daniel Jones, who's probably the quarterback throughout the league with the most on his shoulders to perform this season. But, they're doing an okay job starting to build that team. They got a strong defense, and then adding some playmakers in the draft, Kadarius Toney, acquiring some draft capital. I've said NFL draft, that word, so many times in the last month, though. I'm trying to avoid it. It kind of triggers me. So Happy to talk NFL football season.
Yeah, seriously. And then just looking, boom, like, so the last 4 weeks are home for New Orleans, at Carolina, at the Jets, home for Carolina again. So they're favored in all 4 of those games. Let's say they're 8-5, which whatever. Obviously, they have a great shot then of finishing the year 12-5, and that would more than likely win the division, right? So it's a nice way to end the year. I would say just going through the whole thing. Like we said, there's going to be a couple week stretches where those are tough games, but you just have to survive them. I think if they get to that last stretch in that 8-5, 9-4 kind of range, then they're laughing.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, on paper. We'll just see how the season ebbs and flows goes. Like, teams can hit walls at points you don't expect,
For sure.
Just like last year, they can really hit their stride at times you don't expect. So that's the beauty of the sport. That's the beauty of this shit. But all we can do right now is speculate based on what's on paper. Week 14, Buffalo in Tampa. It's kind of nice that the Bucs get that one at home before they play New Orleans at home. I mean, Buffalo, Tampa, that's a great game.
That's a great game.
Oh, yeah.
Really excited for that matchup.
Any thoughts on the division in general? Like 4-2, 5-1. Like, I know we just started looking at it. We've only had 24 hours or whatever, but Tampa's the best team in the division. That's not a debate, right? Like,
but who's the threat this year? I guess that's what I'm wondering. Because New Orleans obviously taking a step back without Breeze. Who is it? Is Carolina the team that keeps you up at night if you're Tampa Bay?
It's a good question, and I'll tell you that I think Carolina arguably had the best draft. Or sorry, D-word. Fuck. Had the did the best job bringing in first-year players this offseason. And I think they've improved their team dramatically. And I think people have written off Sam Darnold a little too much here. Matt Rule's a hell of a coach. They got Joe Brady running the offense over there. They grabbed Terrace Marshall in the draft as well. They've added weapons everywhere. They got J.C. Horn. Like they're really building something special over there, if you ask me. And they're not invested super heavily with Darnold. So if that doesn't work, they can get creative. But if he does, and if he's going to succeed, I think it's going to start with this new fresh start he's getting in Carolina. So I definitely have concerns. They're well coached. They got a lot of good players now. And if Darnold pops this year, then they could be a serious problem. And I could totally see them stealing a game from the Bucs. The quarterback issues with New Orleans are obvious. Everyone knows about them. With that said, Sean Payton, I usually describe him as kind of an evil mastermind, like offensive genius guy, because he is an offensive guru. Him, Shanahan, McVay, those are the guys who come to mind for me on the offensive side of the ball, in terms of kind of being in a league of their own. And then Atlanta, I mean, offensively, they're going to be lethal if Julio's still there. I mean, Matt Ryan's going to take advantage. I think Pitts is just going to be a monster right away. Matt Ryan is the perfect guy. He has Julio and Calvin Ridley to take the heat off him. And Matt Ryan, just the way he plays, he is going to love Kyle Pitts, and he's going to get him the ball. It seems like the most foolproof, successful rookie season I can remember from potentially, we're talking about the greatest receiving tight end prospect in the history of the sport.
Well, they've had productive tight ends in that in their offense, right? Like, I mean, I know one of them was Tony Gonzalez recently, which is saying something, but oh my God, Hooper's put up numbers, obviously, because a linebacker's covering him or something, while you have to worry about Jones and Ridley on the outside. I mean, Pitts could absolutely feast.
But I don't think you're gonna beat the defending Super Bowl champs because you got a good young tight end either. So
for sure.
I don't know. I think 4-2 is an attainable.
I think that's good.
Yeah, hopefully better. But those teams are all capable of taking a win. And if you fall asleep at the wheel, then that's the kind of shit that can happen. I think Tampa's going to be hungry to. So despite the fact we won the Super Bowl, I think they're going to be hungry to avenge the the NFC South, because despite the fact they won the Super Bowl last year, New Orleans took the division. So maybe that's like a bit of a force, but still, I mean, that's something they would like to regain. At least some people would. That's the biggest rivalry for Bucs fans, right? They want to just squash the Saints. So the team will certainly be motivated there.
Those weeks were the ones where you I felt the least amount of confidence about betting the Bucs when we were talking about the season. Like whenever you guys are playing the Saints, I feel like you had a completely different vibe every week.
Totally. You're bang on. You're right. And you had your fingers on my pulse throughout the whole season.
I was like, it's the same. Like, you guys got to win one of these games. Even the third one, you're like, I don't know what's good. Like, I don't know.
Crazy shit just always happens when they play, too. Like, between Lattimore and Mike Evans. And
true.
There's the Jameis, like, shit. Like, back when he came and pointed his finger all awkwardly at Lattimore. And then Lattimore clapped back. And then Mike Evans, like, took a legit cheap shot on Lattimore. This is a couple seasons ago. Totally out of character. So shit just goes weird. There was the Sean Payton beef with Dirk Cutter after the game a couple years ago. Like, anyway, Bruce has respect from everyone, so that shit ain't happening. And
but wasn't it just like Cutter parked in Payton's parking spot or something like that? Like, it really wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think it was that Dirk Cutter didn't send a congratulations card because Sean Payton's daughter had just graduated high school.
Oh, what the fuck?
Wow.
No, I have no idea what it was, but yeah, Scott.
I've heard of people actually caring about stuff like that. So I was like, please, God, no, like, that's not an accomplishment. Just graduate. Anyway, whatever. Congratulations, little Peyton.
Yeah, so we'll see how the Bucs do, man, defending their title. Knocking on wood that TB stays healthy, because that's really the key. I mean, that's the key. Health. But I feel so good about the depth and the continuity that the team has. That's something we've talked about on the pod. I mentioned it when I had an appearance on the Bucs Report show. I just said, continuity is huge. Being in the Toronto area, seeing the Raptors, of course they brought in Kawhi, but the continuity of the core of the team, I think, is what people forget had such a crucial role in terms of, that's just, it's rare in professional sports. So.
And isn't the best thing about Brady, like, he's not going to take a needless hit? Because at no point is he going to be trying to get out of bounds, but then someone beats him there before he can extend the ball and take an extra shot. He's never going to be diving for an extra, you know what I mean? Like, if he gets hit, it's going to be because the line gets beat. It's not going to be because he takes an extra shot that is totally unnecessary. So, if for whatever, like, knock on wood, he gets hurt, it will be because something bad happened, not because something stupid happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Totally. You're 100% right. I've never gotten excited from a quarterback just calling a play dead within 2 seconds and throwing the ball away until Tom Brady's your quarterback. And it's part of his genius. It's just knowing this ain't worth it. Let's take another down and give it another try. Yeah. It's incredible. And that's not easy to do as a quarterback, but
you never want to give up. You never want to give up on a play. It's so unnatural, but he does it so well. And it's like folding when you're beat and his ego doesn't get the best of him in that spot, right? He's so good at that. You're dead on.
And so I think that's good in terms of breaking down the Bucs. I think we should move on to some potential game of the year predictions. So what games this year have the potential to be the game of the year? Some of the best matchups that we're going to see on the schedule as a whole. So I don't know if any one of you guys has a matchup you're especially looking forward to and thinks it could have game of the year type potential.
Yeah, I could jump in here. I really wanted, like, just going back to the actually I'll go with week 6, Arizona at Cleveland. I'm super high on Cleveland. I think Cleveland's going to be really good this year. Obviously, they're adding Odell back, but just the way they ended last year, I pretty much with everyone else that was watching that game thought they were going to beat the Mahomes-less Chiefs until Andy Reid pulled that fucking unbelievable Tyreek Hill reception out of his ass. So good. But yeah, I think Cleveland is out to just wreak havoc on everyone and just reassert their dominance of the AFC North. And yeah, I just want to see what Cleveland can do. And then I think we were talking about Arizona as well offline before this as well too. And just obviously they added a first-year guy in Rondale Moore who could be really good for them and where they needed help from that on their receiving side of the ball. Want to see what they do on their defensive side as well too. Just losing Patrick Peterson, but obviously you have Budda Baker still there. See what they can do to get Isaiah Simmons integrated on that side of the ball as well too. But yeah, I think that could be a really good game that probably not a lot of people are circling just yet.
Yeah, and they went linebacker again this year with Zaven Collins out of Tulsa. I don't know if you guys heard the call when Steve Kime made that call, but that was cool. But yeah, man, like we'll see what happens. I like that matchup for sure, Bo. That's a fun one. I'm with you on Cleveland. I've talked about it a lot already on the pod in terms of how much they've helped their team. They just crushed the draft too. So
yeah,
like they're just adding talent all over the field, and it's going to come down to Baker for them. I've said it, and I'm going to keep saying it. If Baker can execute and not make too many mistakes, that team is a dark horse Super Bowl contender in my eyes.
Yeah.
And I think OBJ's got something to absolutely prove this year, right? Because that team took off once he went down. I just can't wait to see it. Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
No, I was just like the OBJ thing. It's so funny for a team to get better when a receiver isn't playing, because at the very least, it's a decoy is so important out there, right? And they changed the way they were playing, and to have a guy like Nick Chubb to give the ball to obviously helps. But interested in the Browns for sure. I think they're better than the Steelers. I think they should be the favorite in that division. So matchup with them versus Kyler is fascinating. Sorry, not to beat a dead horse, but I love this NFC West, obviously, with those four teams. I would say those four coaches, but I don't think Pete Carroll's that good. Okay, like everyone, it's like, oh, you won a Super Bowl. Yeah, that's great. They run a lot, and they punt on 4th and 2 from the 38 a lot. You know what? So it's a great division. So I just didn't want to give Seattle like the 4 upper echelon teams, 4 upper echelon coaches, because frankly I don't put Carroll in that league. But I am going to go with Week 15, the Cards and the Rams, because I think the winner of that game will win that division, and I think the winner of that game will have a good chance at hosting the NFC Championship game, who I do think will be against. Will be against Tampa, actually. So those would be my 3 favorite teams in the NFC. We'll see what happens in the first game with the Cards and Rams in order to see if there's any sort of tie-breaking ramifications. But that's what I'm looking for, because I think it's going to really affect the whole NFC playoff picture and home field advantage for those first couple seeds.
Cards and Rams week. I think I messed up my schedule here. You got that? What you have that week 14?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. No, I got that too.
I might have said 15 by accident, but no, 14. Yeah.
Yeah, there's tons of awesome divisional rivalry matchups throughout the year. So those generally are the best. I mean,
of course.
I'm with you guys on that. There's a bunch of good games. I mean, week 1 we got the Browns and the Chiefs. I'm pumped for that. Like
that'd be awesome.
Week 1 is awesing.
Yeah, it really
they
is.
They had to schedule it like that. They had to make week 1 awesome, because they're gonna have they're gonna be the first league that's fully back and has basically all the fans in the stadium. All of the network TV is just gonna be going nuts, and tailgating, all of that stuff is probably going to be back.
Yeah.
So you got to have good games on week 1.
That could even be my prediction for game of the year, Browns and Chiefs. But the fact it's so early in the year makes you think like, well, maybe they're not going to be operating on all cylinders. So that makes me question that. But just in terms of the matchup, that's a fun one. And I just want to backtrack a moment to what you were saying about how strange it is, Bo, about for a team to get better. I think it was you, Bohdan.
Yeah.
A team getting better without one of the best receivers in the game. And you both talked about it. And it is funny. The reason I think it happened, the only logical explanation, and at least my eye test told me as much, Baker was so concerned with keeping OBJ happy that it was like a touch football game with your buddies or a flag football league. It was actually affecting him to where he was trying to force him the ball. And when he was out of there, he was actually making the reads and throwing to the first available option and working his way through his progressions. And I think it benefited him as a quarterback. So the big question for me is, will Baker be able to continue to play that way? Or is he going to kind of revert back to being Odell's little bitch?
It's got to be on, like, because Baker has the proof, right? It's OBJ that has to prove it now to me. Like, OBJ needs to come in there and integrate himself and be like, okay, I'm the number one, but I need to act like it. I need to realize that I've got Landry, who's my boy from LSU right there, and is Njoku still there?
Oh yeah, Njoku's there. He's coming off an injury, but he's back. And they got Harrison Bryant, another young, promising tight end. Yeah,
so there's a lot of weapons on this offense. Not to mention, we haven't even talked about Nick Chubb yet, but you got a lot of weapons on this offense. You don't need to get the ball all the time, OBJ. Just play your part. Get your 5 to 6 catches a game and make some plays after you get the catch. That's the way that you can be productive on this team, because this team has everything. We're not even talking about the defensive side of the ball. Adding Jadeveon Clowney to that. Myles Garrett looks like a beast still. Every offseason workout, I just close my Instagram every time I see it because it makes me feel horrible. That guy's an absolute beast. But yeah, I can't wait to see what the Browns do for sure.
Yeah, and their head coach is not Freddie fucking Kitchens. They got Ed Stefanski there.
Oh my God. Who?
A real coach.
Okay, so one quick call. You said that's what your eye test said, right? Like about what the Browns think. Mine said I have an astigmatism in my left eye. I don't know if we're seeing the same on top. Whatever. Regardless. I think you're dead on first about the OBJ part. I think he's such a big personality. There is some sort of gravity that comes towards like getting the ball. It's tough because he's such a magnetic talent, obviously, but is there some sort of diminishing returns if you're trying to force feed him? Maybe we have enough proof that there is. I still think, obviously, you want to have that guy on your team no matter what, obviously, and I think the Browns are better that he's healthy. Don't get me wrong, but
100%.
Yeah, they're super. They're absolutely fascinating team.
So I'm just looking at like a bunch of games right now. Like, it's not like I really had one ironed out. So as I'm just scrolling through it, yeah, like there's lots of fun ones. I mean, Chiefs Ravens week 2, like any of these good teams playing each other is what's going to be fun. Obviously, you know what I mean? Ravens and the Browns, that AFC North division, Bohdan, you're right, is going to be fun. You got the Packers in a couple nice games, but that all depends on what's going on with the quarterback position. Like, I don't know what you guys are going to think with Rodgers. I think he's not bluffing here. I think he's legit.
He's gone, man.
I think he's legitimately not going to play until they do something about it. He just strikes me as the type of guy who, when he gets to this point of actually coming out and saying this, he's been patient for a while dealing with some shit there.
He hasn't talked to his parents because they got the wrong mustard. Like, I don't see him backing down from this anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think he's talked to his brother for years as well too. And his brother got famous just being on The Bachelor or Bachelorette. I can't remember which one it was, but it was a big story being like, yeah, I haven't talked to him in my adult life, basically, because I'm pissed off at him still. Yeah, I don't think Aaron Rodgers comes out and says something like that, and it's just like, yeah, I'll be there at training camp, I guess.
If he took it this far, like if he finally got to the point, the straw that broke the camel's back got him here, he's not going back now. He's smart enough guy, and stubborn enough. Sorry, I mean that's a way better term to use. But he kind of has that right to be as well. I mean, he was pretty patient. And it came out this week, a report by Albert Breer and Peter King from the Monday Morning Quarterback. And those guys are obviously as connected as you can be. They're not reporting shit that isn't pretty much a fact. So they reported that the Packers management, when they moved up to draft Jordan Love, he didn't know. There was no communication with him leading up to that they may consider taking a quarterback. Hey, we like this kid. We're thinking if he falls to us, there's a chance. Just want to let you know, Aaron. Just want to keep you in the loop. What are your thoughts? Like, and a lot of people are like, or certain people are like, oh no, that's no player is a part of the team. His job is to win games on the field. Yeah, okay. There's exceptions. Get fucked. Like Aaron Rodgers is the MVP of the league, and he's 37, turning 38. He is a special talent. You do whatever it takes to keep him happy. I don't give a damn. Not everyone is created equal, so not everyone can be created or treated equal.
Yeah, I agree. And especially in football and especially with the quarterback. And this is exactly like when I keep something from my wife and I think it's going to pay off in the long run. And I was maybe thinking about doing this and then do it. And guess what? Jordan Love shows up at the front door and things don't go well that weekend. All right, is all I'll have to say. And it's just the lack of communication and like, oh, we're on eggshells. Oh, we don't know what it's like. Guess what? You have Aaron Rodgers. He matters more than other guys. His opinion matters. Like, at least let him know. At least let him know what you're going to do. Like, there's no excuse for it. Absolutely none. Yeah. Absolutely none. It's such a joke how they handled that. And I think he literally waited 365 days to turn the tables on him, right? The following draft night. And this is what happened. So
he came out and proved it that season. And then like, that's why I loved it on draft night that story gets leaked.
Draft morning.
Yeah. Kevin Clark at The Ringer had a really good point, and he was talking about this isn't the first time the Packers have been in this situation, obviously, with Favre, and people forget how bad that Favre situation was. And it got to the point where Favre went out of his way to like play a year with the Jets just so he could go back and play with the Vikings. Yeah. So that he could be a divisional rival for the Packers. Like the vindication for like star quarterbacks going against the Packers is kind of well documented at this point. And Aaron Rodgers, maybe we'll see this for Jordan Love in fucking 15 years. Who knows?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
But isn't that like, it's just a hard relationship to end, you know, like it's just not an easy thing.
But it shouldn't be.
Of course.
It shouldn't be, right? Like we just saw it. Like even like you think of it being like, okay, the guy who you think would be the most catered to, Tom Brady, was upset all those years, but still never got to this point. Like he still was able to leave, and we'll see what the reception. Well, he talked about it earlier. We'll see what the reception is when he goes back to New England. But like, it's the Packers. It's not just any. It's not the fact that it's like a player versus a team. It's the Packers versus a star quarterback again.
I'm glad you brought up Tom Brady too, because his name does belong in this conversation, not just because of his experience or his patience or whatever, being able to take that in New England all those years without any sort of outcry, but because I think the Buccaneers, in fact, are super relevant to this discussion point, because Aaron Rodgers is seeing what the situation Tom Brady came into to his new team. He sees management and ownership accommodating him, throwing pieces around him, skill position players, doing whatever they need to do to put him in a position to be his best, right? Like Fournette, Antonio Brown, like all the shit.
Call your friends. Yeah, call your friends.
They're doing whatever they can do. And then you got the Packers trading away assets to move up to pick a quarterback. They haven't drafted a skill position player or a receiver or running back in the first round in however long. Like it's just so ridiculous. So it's one thing for him to see other franchises treating their star player that way, and it's another for it to actually work. And it fucking worked, and they beat the Packers in Lambeau.
Yeah.
And it was because his coach had a questionable decision, you could argue. So there's just all these factors stacking up on top of each other, and it's just like you can just see how it went too far.
Exactly. Absolutely. Totally. And that, like you said, Call, like that all, to me, that all adds up to how on earth does he play for them this year? I don't know. Like,
yeah. I agree. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad you brought up your wife, Cap. Don't worry, not for any creepy reason, but just because I want us to talk about. I want us to do a weekend away segment. And what I mean is, what would be the best weekend, referring back to the schedule here, what would be the best weekend to score some points with your significant other, in Scott's case, his wife, and take the entire weekend off watching NFL football? Which of these weeks would be the one to do it, gentlemen? What's the one, in other words, the worst slate of games?
Man, it's tough. I'm leaning towards, it's tough because we're talking about the weekend, but I'm looking at week 2, Thursday nighter, Giants and the Washington football team.
Yeah.
With a Monday nighter of noodle arm Goff and the Detroit Lions versus the potentially Rodgers-less Packers. And that's a tough scene. Now, granted, great Sunday nighter, Chiefs and Ravens, but I don't know. I'm not seeing too much else. And I think also when you piggyback off of week 1, how great that slate looks, I'm looking at week 2 and seeing some games that I'm not super interested in. Now, obviously this is hypothetical and I'm not taking a week off of watching, so we don't actually have to make this decision or anything like that. But maybe earlier in the year, get some brownie points. I don't, your guess is as good as mine at this point.
I got one for you. Week 9, and good thing we're on a Bucs podcast because I think this is a good week. You already got the Bucs on the bye, but you don't have much going on. You have the Jets and the Colts on Thursday night. The Sunday morning games for me at West here. There's nothing marquee. I guess maybe you got Atlanta versus New Orleans you might be interested in. But there's not much going on. New England versus Carolina, Buffalo versus Jacksonville, Denver versus Dallas. Maybe that's your marquee game of that morning, the first slot.
What about
that's literally the best game.
But what about? I think there's a legit chance I might have screwed up my little schedule here and be off by a week. Do the Packers not play the Chiefs week 9 and the Cardinals play the Niners though?
The Packers play the Chiefs week 9. That's true. But with what we just talked about with Aaron Rodgers, which I was about to get to, who knows how the Packers are going to be. Arizona, San Francisco. We were talking about the NFC West coaches. Pete Carroll, I agree with you, Scott. Not a great coach. You know who's a horrible coach? Cliff Kingsbury. He is really fucking bad. So I won't be surprised if Arizona is actually bad. I'm excited to see them play, but if Arizona gets off to a rough start, I could see week 9 being one that I'm not as interested in. And maybe we get to see a Trey Lance sighting there if Arizona is bad too. That week 9, if they've given up on Jimmy G at that point, that might be a good spot to let Trey Lance get some reps up against a lesser defense. And then, the Monday nighter you have on week 9 is Chicago versus Pittsburgh. Guessing that's going to be pretty slow paced. But yeah,
it does suck when any of the primetime games are shitty.
It's all of the primetime games too, right? Tennessee versus the Rams on Sunday night. That's, I don't know. Maybe Tennessee's good again. But yeah, it's a rough week. That's a good one to say, okay, let's find a bed and breakfast.
The only thing I'll say about when the primetime games are shitty, it's like, well, I'm watching them anyway. So we may as well have better games throughout Sunday as a result. You know what? It's like, yeah, the Monday nighter is really more of a appointment than whoever, I'm more just like, yeah, I'm going to watch the Monday nighter, even if it's Cincinnati, Jacksonville. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I obviously agree with you, Bo. I'm just saying, it's kind of a different way to look at it. But yeah.
Yeah, it could be the worst game you could ever imagine, and I could be hungover as all hell, just been clawing to the couch to stay awake, but I just can't even fall asleep during a primetime football game. It doesn't matter. I'm going to find some action on it. I'm going to have some fantasy implications, or I'm just going to enjoy watching professional football players throw the ball to each other and try and hurt each other.
The Sunday night game is my favorite game of the week. It's such a nice way to end the weekend. Whatever, the Monday night game, if it's great, then awesome. But Sunday night, it's all right, you kind of settled down. whatever. Let's hope there's a good one on, and it's not. It kicks off at 8:15, so it's not like super late or anything like that. I Sunday night is my favorite part of the football schedule for sure.
And NBC just does well. First of all, they get the best games, so
they do a great job. Yeah,
but undoubtedly better than the Monday nighters. Like it's not even like what happened there.
But it's not even comparable. Like the production value as well is just fantastic. Like I'm not even in love with Chris Collinsworth or Al Michaels. Like I prefer Nance and Romo, for example, or Aikman and Buck, just in terms of like the content they bring to the table or the opinions. But the general production value of how NBC does it, for whatever reason, is just seems flawless to me.
It feels like a big game every week.
Yeah,
for sure.
And can I go go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I'll run through some of the matchups just to explain how like they have solid games all the time. Like Chiefs Ravens week 2, Packers Niners week 3, Patriots Bucs week 4, Bills Chiefs week 5, Titans Rams week 9. Like they've just Browns Ravens week 12, Saints Bucks week 15. And then all the other games are solid too. So
yeah, plus Al Michaels has 25K on each one of the games. So
he's sweating
in one of his Cayman Islands accounts, right? Under Al Michaelos. So yeah, it's just a little added facet.
For the weekend that if I had to escape with the old lady and just, say, you know what, I'd rather spend time with you, baby, than watch football this week, it would be week 7, 10, or 11. But I mean, I'm not going to go through naming them all. I found those to be the worst weeks. I think now would be a good time, because we've kind of naturally segued there anyway, is just a little segment of network regret. So I wanted us to take a look at any primetime games that we think the network may wish they could take back. If you have any we haven't already mentioned. And normally, like historically, Monday Night Football has like an entire season's worth of shitty games that you would think they would regret. But that seems to have improved this year overall in terms of the quality of games they have. In my opinion, the one that jumps out at me, I know some of you guys want to hit a Monday nighter, so I'll leave that one. But Thursday night, Panthers and Texans. I feel like the Texans in prime time is just horrible. Like I like the Panthers. I already mentioned that, but the Texans are an absolute tire fire, and they play week 3 against the Panthers on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, and almost like we don't need to touch on it, but I have that one circled as like I can do whatever you want that night, fiance, wife, whatever, on Thursday night, just because Carolina versus Houston looks horrible. Like that's going to be a horrible game. Also, we don't need to talk about it, but like Deshaun Watson's probably not playing that game, even if he's eligible. Because he wants to hold out as well too. He's a guy who said, "I don't want to be in Houston anymore," either, and for good reason.
Someone with a little less leverage than Aaron Rodgers, though, now, because he started his holdout or his demands for a trade, and then all this shit came out. That was crazy timing how that worked out, man.
Yeah,
less leverage, but with all those massages, he's loose as fuck, right? Like, see, like. Oh my God, he's spindly out there. You got to keep that in mind. That's a good one. Can I give you guys mine?
Yeah,
we're clearing out for you.
Here's a Monday nighter I feel like I've watched every year that I don't need to see, and I really don't need to see it this year. Week 15, Vikings Bears. Like, oh my God, can we just set the watch to them being both 2 games under 500, yet somehow having a chance at the wild card? Like. And, the segment here is what primetime games does the network regret? Maybe Vikings-Bears, classic rivalry. I'm sure it probably does okay ratings, whatever. But, like, as far as a game that, like, I'm good, guys. Like, that can be a Sunday at 1 o'clock, and we'll mix it in. But we're fine. I'm good on the Vikings-Bears.
It's so true. That's a fully regional matchup that they put together there. Exactly. Just being like, the Midwest will love this. Just put it on. Yeah,
with very, very specifically weird accents between the two states. Like, we're good. We're good. Yeah, Lydia, you can watch the Bachelorette. Like, we're fine.
Well, if you don't like the accents, good thing you don't have the local broadcasters or anything. In terms of, I think the way you just described that cap could apply to any NFC East matchup. I'm just sick of watching Carson Wentz and whoever's backing up Dak Prescott. I don't even want to remember their names last year for the Cowboys, and whoever's playing quarterback for Washington. I guess it's Ryan Fitzpatrick this year. And Daniel fucking Jones. Like, do we really need to watch every NFC East team play in 3 primetime games apiece, or collectively 9 against each other? Like, it's just
is the NFC East the crown jewel division of TV? Like,
it really is.
If Jerry owned the Jags, would they be the team we're always seeing? Would it be the AFC South?
I don't know.
But you have the Giants, you have the Eagles, you have Washington, Dallas. Like, theoretically, all of those teams matter. It's just like, oh my God, I feel like they each play each other 7 times a year, and it's always on at night. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like, imagine if the NBA was like, we're always putting the Bulls on. Like, I don't care what happened. Like, the Bulls are just playing, and they're always going to be on prime time. Like, doesn't matter what happened. Just, you own the 90s, well, you own forever now.
Yeah. And they're the ones making the decisions. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it just seems odd. But hey.
All right. Well, I mean, enough talk of the shitty games and shitty matchups. Let's sort of start to put a bow on things and just revisit. Do you guys see any potential Super Bowl preview games? So, are the 2 teams undecided at this point, or unknown who's going to meet in Super Bowl 56? Do you think those 2 meet this year in any of these matchups during the regular season?
I might. Okay. I'm gonna go. I didn't have one. I went through it. I was just like, I don't see it on the board there, just in who I'm feeling good about this year. But I'm gonna go back to what we were talking about, like a weekend away. I'm thinking of a weekend that I'm hoping that my significant other has a girls' weekend. I'm looking at week 5, and there's some bangers on there. Denver, Pittsburgh, Miami, Tampa Bay. Philly, Carolina could be okay. Cleveland at the Chargers. I'm really high on the Chargers as well this year. That could be fun.
Same, Bo.
Giants at Dallas. That's always going to be on, probably on prime time. San Francisco, Arizona. Even though I just shit on Cliff Kingsbury, I hope that's going to be an okay game. And early in the year, so I haven't been burned by betting on the Cardinals too many times that time already. Buffalo, Kansas City. Going to be an awesome night game as well there. And then the Thursday nighter is the Rams at the Seahawks, and the Seahawks cannot play a normal game, so that's going to be a really fun primetime game as well too.
Well, yeah, when those 2 teams played last year, it was bonkers.
Every time. Like Seattle, just, it's going to be fun. 4th quarter, Russ with the ball, or with hoping he gets the ball again.
Always, that's happening, right? Like, that's absolutely happening. I'm looking at Bills Bucs as a potential. Like, I'm with Bohdan. I actually don't think there's like any sort of matchup combo I'd be looking at right now to get some money down on preseason. But I think Bills at the Bucs is very possible. December 12th, huge game. Both favorites in their divisions, which I think makes them both, by definition, Super Bowl candidates or Super Bowl hopefuls, right? So who knows? That could be one for sure.
I could totally envision like Josh Allen in the pregame there being, or in the build up to that one being like, we thought we were coming here to play the Bucs for the Super Bowl last year. Like, we were this close, and like we should have beat the Chiefs, and we thought that we had it, that type of thing. And
that's a good call. That's a good call.
I could see that being a preview.
I would love for the Bills to take out the Chiefs before at some point prior to the AFC Championship game. So that I agree, that is probably the best one. A little sleeper one would be Chiefs Rams. They play week 15. Obviously I'm hopeful, and want to say I think the Bucs will make it back to the Super Bowl, as hard as that is. I just feel so good about the team. However, there's a higher chance they won't than they will. And we've talked about the Rams. They got the coaching, they got the quarterback, they have two of the best defensive players in football at two different positions. And if everything clicks for them, they could be a bit of a sleeper, and they might have a chance to get there. And of course, the Chiefs are the Vegas favorites to return to the Super Bowl anyway. So
Yeah,
that's a little sleeper potential Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, like
love it. That would be. I mean, hey, if it's not going to be Tampa, that would KC, LA. That would be quite nice. Hey, quick predictions on the Bucs regular season record.
Ooh,
Hard to.
I'll
I mean,
jump.
Who knows?
I'll jump. I'm thinking 13-5.
17 games though. So.
Oh yeah, 17 games. Okay, I'll
I had
go
12-5, Bo. I had 12-5.
Yeah, 12-5. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
so I guess I'll go 13-4.
Okay,
Just
so
to show my pewter colors.
12-5, 13-4 wins the division though, almost guaranteed.
Fuck,
right?
I would rather bet 12-5 though. I think that's more realistic. To be honest, you just put me on the spot, and I'm really not good at math, so getting used to the new numbers. Yeah, thanks for that, Cap.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
hey, sorry,
I
guys.
thought I was slick because I was like, oh, week 18, that's the end of the season. All right, 13-5.
No, you're right. That's totally on me for you guys not getting that. Yeah.
No, I'll ride with 13-4. I'll ride with
beauty.
13-4.
Love it.
Well, boys, I think that more or less is about. I mean, I know we could keep talking, but I think that's an adequate amount of material considering we're just talking about games that have yet to be played. And I hope you guys are excited that we're going to be having our own show on the Bucs Report social channels. It'll still be the Bucs Banner podcast, but I'm pretty pumped that every Monday we're going to have our own show over there. Are you guys looking forward to that or what? You're going to be on a shit ton, both of you.
I'm so pumped up. I can't wait to just have this is like we almost have football to talk about just going through the schedule.
Yeah.
Like actually having games to discuss is going to be the best.
For sure. Just a way to talk about the actual games every week. Like I can't wait to talk about things that we saw, that we liked, that we didn't like, and teams that we think are rising or falling, and just everything. I literally cannot wait for the season to get here. And sorry, but just looking at the schedule, looking at different matchups, looking at different weeks that we like I cannot wait. And maybe part of it's COVID and we just want something normal, but so pumped to talk to you guys about this also.
Can't wait. So yeah, that'll be on. So make sure you check out Bucs Report on Twitter and Facebook. Give them a follow because you can catch us live there, and you can enter or submit any type of questions, and we can address them on the air, which is another aspect of our partnering with Bucs Report that I'm super pumped about, is getting to you. They have a great, huge following. They have, over 67,000 followers on their Facebook page alone. So, we're going to get some questions coming in live during the show, and we can address those. And that's going to be a lot of fun to do that every week. So we'll still be recording it as a podcast as well that you can find on the Bucs Banner pages. But anyway, really looking forward to that. That'll be the next time you hear from us. Make sure Scott and Bo are there. That'll be happening on Monday, the 17th of this month, which is, what month is it, boys? May, April?
May, yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
It's
so
zooming by.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, fellas. It's been real as always. And
thanks for having us, man.
Yeah. So to our viewers and listeners, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Peace.